Go Big 12 or go home. I'm Brandon Shanahan, joined as always by Iowa broadcasting legend Drew Russell. Drew Russell, college football's never been more back than it is at this very moment.
Oh, was it just nice, Brandon, to turn on the TV even Thursday night when we last podcast all the way through Monday night and just say 5 straight days of college football? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, what elite stuff to end the summer when you have 5 days.
What a great opening weekend of college football, and what an even equally, if not more awesome, week 2 of college football we have going on here. Before we dive into our pick'em and kind of diving into each game individually, what are some of the things that you're looking out for first and foremost?
Well, I think the things you mean for this week 2 slate
That's
specifically,
right.
I just the big game potential across the board this week. I mean, it's insane. This is usually the October and November, the weekends, I will really get into my recliner and just like be in all day. This weekend's that level already. And you look at just games involving the Big 12, Colorado-Nebraska is a big one. You and I will both be invested in that. You more so. Iowa State obviously is one I'm going to be heavily invested in. That game's potential is crazy. Oklahoma State Arkansas is a fascinating game to me because Oklahoma State should win. But Arkansas, boy, they looked very interesting, granted against a very bad opponent for their week 1 game, but they've got some weapons. No one's going to deny that. And with Bobby Petrino running the things now, it's like a motorcycle out there. They are running at full speed. So I think that's the thing. The big game potential, Brandon. It's crazy. We had some great games in week 1 and week 2. I think it'll set a tone for the season, and it's not going to knock anybody out of the playoff picture like it did in the past, where you had these type of games. Last year, Texas stunning Alabama on the road. That had huge implications for Texas making the college football playoff, and Alabama only made it just because they beat Georgia in the SEC championship. If Alabama wins that game, they would have gotten both Alabama and Georgia in the college football playoff. So they're not as big maybe in the past in terms of making the playoffs, but man, in terms of seeding and getting those buys, boy, they're important for sure.
And before I pull it up, how do you think our pick'em went last week?
I gotta say, well, right? Had to go pretty well.
And we kind of crushed it.
Yeah.
So I'll pull it up here. We each went, I think it was 12-1. I think it was the final record there.
Houston killed us.
How was it? But that's
killed us.
That's the difference. And we're doing this new format where we have a confidence level to it, and that's the difference. Is that you add a little bit less confidence in Houston than I did, and it rewarded for it. But I mean, that's how thin these margins are here in this. In
love
the Go
it,
Big 12, Go Big
I love
Home.
it. We got a great slate this week. I can't wait. Let's start picking. Let's
All
go.
right.
I'm ready. I got my pointer fingers out. I'm ready to just go.
Let's go. So coming off a 12-1 week, we'll get things started with BYU and SMU. Very interesting game because I don't have a good beat on either of these teams.
No, this is a kind of fascinating one. BYU's not traditionally a great road team, but Brandon, they did have a very nice road victory last year at Arkansas. Granted, that was an Arkansas team that wasn't great at the end, but they have shown that can go into the South and win a football game. Not an easy pick, though. I'm going to pick BYU, though. I'm going to stick with our Big 12 brethren. SMU does have some talent, though, but I'll stick with BYU. Confidence level. Do we have 16 games? How many games we
15.
got, Brandon? 15. Oh, yeah,
games.
with the Baylor-Utah non-con game. Boy, I don't love this game, though, either. Quickly looking through this. I'm going to just say a 3. I'll say a 3. I just do not like this game, but I'm going to say BYU finds a way.
Yeah, it's tricky because preseason I was pretty confident about SMU in this spot, but BYU looked really good. So I'll go SMU with the 1. So we'll start off on opposite ends of the aisle.
This is the first time this season, ladies and gentlemen,
right?
that Brandon Shanahan and I don't agree. Oh man, these are low level. That's low levels of confidence, though, right there.
Yeah, that's tough. But let's see here. Up next, Arkansas and Oklahoma State. I'm gonna go with Oklahoma State again. Also very unconfident because I really loved what Taylor Green did and how he looked, and it just kind of feels like the I don't know the sea parting, and maybe this is the kind of performance that saves Pittman, which I would love for Arkansas. But this is a tough spot. Stillwater's going to be rowdy, so I'll take them, and then I'm not going to go any higher. I'm going to go with the good old 2 here for the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's not a bad. Actually, the 2 is exactly what I was going to go to as well, Brandon. And I'm also taking Oklahoma State. I really just liked how they played week 1. Arkansas, I just gotta say, Arkansas Pine Bluff is not good. That's the thing, is I think it's low key fool's gold. But of course, I hope I'm wrong. This is a loss I'm willing to accept if needed as a long suffering Hog fan. Is it basketball season yet? No, joking. I think we've got some potential, but I'm gonna go Oklahoma State because I really like what I saw. But Arkansas absolutely could fight them to the end, and it wouldn't shock me if the Hogs get a road victory.
And up next, we're going Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Both teams who I don't feel great about. I was told that Cincinnati has a good home field advantage. We didn't see it at all last year. What are you thinking here?
What's the line of this game? Do
That's
we
a
have a
good
line?
question.
Look up the line because this is a great rivalry, actually. These are 2 teams that do not like each other. Pennsylvania versus Ohio, 2 blue-collar towns in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. I know Cincinnati got that week 1 victory. Pittsburgh traditionally has been playing a lot better the last few years, though. Do you have a line?
No, working on it. It's oddly hard to find one of those.
Struggling.
A lot of these
My
sites.
gut's saying Pittsburgh, Brandon, on the road. But it's another game I'm not confident in. Like, none of these I feel good about.
Cincinnati by 2.5. So basically, just the home field bunch.
I'm going Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, Cincinnati fans. I know you're favored, and Pittsburgh might disappoint me. And I'll go Pittsburgh. Look at the rest of the slate quick, see if there's anything I don't love. Yeah, just give me a 1. Just put 1 right there. Pittsburgh 1. I'll keep it very safe.
Let's see here. This feels silly because I was so mad about how much I bought into Cincinnati last year, and I was so out on them this year. I'm like, they're not going to get to me this time. And then I saw how they played last week. Again, a much different opponent, but that's a lot of juice. So I'll take the Bearcats. Let's see, confidence level. I might just keep it going and just go with a nice easy 3 here.
So we both have just said we're playing with small bills only so far. You and I are too afraid to pull a big trigger, Brandon. Now we got to start swinging eventually.
And this one, I'll take a bigger swing on. I need Kansas State to show me something. Tulane, the post Willie Fritz era. Give me Kansas State. We got 15. Let's go with an 8. We start to open her up there.
Yeah, good kick. I'm going to go Kansas State as well. And you know what? I'll go even riskier. I'll go 11.
All right.
Yep, I'll go on K-State 11.
Ooh. Baylor and Utah in Salt Lake City. Not a conference game. Let's not get it twisted. Not a conference game. But Baylor played them oddly close last year.
They did.
But Utah does have Cam Rising back this year. How are you feeling about this game?
Well, really, it's impossible not to pick Utah, in my opinion, Brandon. It's hard not to have confidence in Utah as well. I got the Utah Utes, and I'll put 13. I got Utah at 13. Baylor definitely played a quality week 1 game. No one's going to deny that, but boy, I'd be shocked if they could find one on the road.
Let me cook something up here real quick.
Show you our number situation.
That's right.
That's good. And then you put it in red for each of us.
I'll just get rid of them.
That's because you and I struggle with numbers, Brandon. We're just looking at these like, oh man, I can't figure it out. I think Utah will be. Obviously, they're a Big 12 favorite, and I'll say this: if I'm wrong, obviously it doesn't just hurt me with points. I think the bigger deal would be what's going on. Like, you can't lose that game against Baylor, who's projected to be more towards the bottom of the Big 12 standings this year.
That's absolutely right. Um, I'm I'm right there with you. I'll go Utah. Boy, is there anybody that I feel? I'll just go with an even 10 for Utah.
Yeah.
Um, even 10. I feel really good. I don't think there's a world where Baylor comes in and surprises us, but I'll temper that just a little bit, just in case. I mean, it is a Big 12 game, so that's not nothing.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep. Oh, here we go, Brandon. It's
this is the
time.
big one.
It's time for
Um,
Cyhawk.
so I'll never pick it. Iowa in any of these pick them, so I'll go right there. Give me Iowa State. Boy, give me a 6. I know Iowa pulled away late against Utah. No, not Utah State, Illinois State. Um, but boy, they looked real sluggish that first half. And I think Iowa State's going to come and they're going to show off the wheels there. I love Iowa State here. Um, but boy, it's not about who's the better team. It's about what kind of fuckery Iowa gets away with.
And that's guaranteed, Brandon. I've got Iowa State as well. I'm also saying Iowa State 7. So you and I are just going to go the exact same on this one. I'm with you. Like Iowa State, I think has as good of a roster as Iowa this year. I think they have better quarterback play. Big thing though is Iowa does not have an offensive coordinator that's holding them back potentially anymore,
That's right.
and that hurts. Like I
Allegedly.
really allegedly, they struggled. They struggled the first half, as you mentioned, but the second half they played rather clean football, Brandon, and sadly they did look decent on offense at times. I mean, they're breaking marks they hadn't done in like 3 years. Like that's how bad it been offensively for them. So their fan base is feeling good. I think Iowa State fan base feels pretty good, and um, it's one of the more anticipated Cyhawk games I can remember. Seriously, I think there's some
Yeah,
real
there's a lot of
juice on
shoes.
both ends. So big game. It's always a big game, but boy, both these teams feel they can make the college football playoff. Iowa State more as a dark horse, but even Iowa thinks they can find a way in despite a pretty loaded Big Ten. So big game for both sides.
Up next, West Virginia and Albany, so a little bit easier of a slate for the Mountaineers at home. Bounce back game, I think, for them. So yeah, give me the Mountaineers, and give me like a 13. I feel real good about them.
I think that's a great pick, Brandon. I'm not going to dig too much into analysis here. This is a bounce back game, shouldn't be issue. West Virginia, and I'll go with our favorite number 12.
That's right. I was thinking about that, but I wasn't ready to pull that trigger yet.
Of course.
Let's see here. Sam Houston and Central Florida, halfway across the country trip for Sam Houston. I think. Well, I guess I don't know. I would
They're
guess
more on like they're in southern Texas. That's just a light
okay,
little jaunt over to Orlando.
okay.
Like
Unfiltered.
a
Okay,
weekend getaway.
that's right. All right. How are you feeling about this? Do the Knights keep it rolling?
I think the Knights keep it rolling. Another opportunity for KJ Jefferson to kind of clean some things up. But I feel rather good about them. I'm going to go Central Florida. I'll give them a 9.
I like it. I'll also go Central Florida here. Shocker. Boy. Let's see. I'll go 12 here. I'll go 12. I love me some Arthur Gustavo Malzahn the third. I don't think this is the spot where he'll let me down here.
No, that's our Arthur. I mean, Gustavo. we need to start like having some kind of like a musical entrance anytime we like talk about Gustavo. Like he sounds like a medieval character almost.
I love it.
Like needs a horse and a sword, some kind of medieval music. I don't know. We'll brainstorm that one, Brandon.
Up next, Kansas and Illinois. Where are you leaning here?
Interesting football game, actually. This is
Very
not an easy road game for Kansas. I'm guessing they're a slight favorite over Illinois, but I love the coaching matchup. Leipold versus Bielema is kind of a fun, like Midwest bred matchup between those two guys. What's it? Do you have a line or no?
I will hear shortly.
Yeah,
at Illinois.
Guts telling me go Kansas.
Kansas by a touchdown.
Yeah, and I think Kansas, but this is not an easy game. I'm not feeling hyper confident. So I'm going to go Kansas, but I'm only going to say a 5 is what my pick will be. I'll say 5 for Kansas.
Boy, I have mentally forgotten about Illinois. So let me just look at my encyclopedia here of Brandon Scribbles here to see what it
You got
says about Illinois. 2 2-point losses kept them from the bowl games. O-line should be a step up. Luke Altmaier coming in. I forgot they got Luke Altmaier coming in from Ole Miss. They bring back the entire. You know what? Yeah, no. Give me Kansas. Give me Kansas in a 4.
Yeah, it's an interesting game because Kansas. This feels like a weirdly like a trap game in a way. And Illinois has stunned some teams at their home last few years, so Bielema will have them ready to go, but we'll see.
Then, this is the one that I might not sleep on Friday because of how impactful this game is. For both programs, I'm obviously a Husker fan, so this is the entire season. It feels dramatic to say that on September 2nd, but it really is like that because even if Nebraska loses this game and wins their next 5 before Ohio State, this is that kind of dark cloud that can kind of hover over a season. We don't have Colorado on the schedule again, so it's not like we can just get them back next year. I mean, this is really it. It feels like this team has been building towards this. Um, oh my gosh, I need this, and I already need this so much. So give me Nebraska at 14 here. And like for actual football analysis, I think
Love it.
their physical nature is what's gonna keep them in the game. I'm worried about their secondary, of course, with Travis Hunter. He's a superstar, but I have to hope that Shooter is not going to get enough time to sit back there and let Travis get downfield.
Well, I'm not going to go that bold, Brandon, but I will pick Nebraska as well. You have this nice little quarterback there now too.
Oh my gosh, I'm so giddy thinking about Dylan Raiola. He looked so good.
I know he had that deep ball.
That
That's
deep
clean,
ball.
Brandon. That's a clean deep ball.
I mean, it was exactly what, like, if you were to sit me down and be like, what do you want to see from Dylan Raiola? I'd say I want to see a little bit of the deep ball. I want to see him control the offense. I want to see him composed. And I'd like to see like one little cool like Patrick Mahomes throw. And we got all of that and then some. He was
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, I mean, they look good. I'm going Nebraska as well. However, not as bold. I'm going to go an 8. I will say that they take care of their business at home. Get some revenge. Needed revenge from last year.
Needed revenge. I mean, and even like, looking back on last year's matchup, it was Nebraska was within 3 for the first, what would that be? 25 minutes of the game, and then turnovers, and self-inflicted turnovers. It's not like takeaways from Colorado, but Jeff Sims could not handle the snap.
Yeah.
Like that's how bad it got. Missed a field goal, and then eventually just got out of hand. But for the first 25 minutes, Nebraska was controlling the line of scrimmage, and I think they're even better at that this year. So I'm real hyped about them. Boy, this feels like it should be a more fun matchup with Oklahoma and Houston, but it's not. And I've been saving my 15-pointer for this one. Give me Oklahoma and 15. I'll tell you what, Drew, I would love to be wrong. I think that would be so silly.
It would absolutely flip the college football season heavily.
Absolutely.
OU would be viewed as like a joke if they can't get this win, but we're on the exact same page. Oklahoma 15 as well. I just would be stunned if it was any other result. It'd be a fun stun. Don't get me wrong. You and I would be happy to lose 15 because you and I would both suffer technically, but I just don't see a road to victory on the road for Houston right now.
It's a business decision for sure.
It is. Yeah.
TCU and Liberty. Not much analysis. I like to. I think that's Liberty.
I thought that was long. Is that LIU?
No, you're absolutely right.
I think that's Long Island University.
You're absolutely right. That's Long Island University. I kind of wish I would have saved my 14-pointer for this one, but we got 11 left on the board. So give me the Frogs and 11.
Yeah, and I'm happy I kept my 14er. I'll take TCU, and I will happily put 14 on the board for our beloved TCU Horned Frogs out of Fort Worth, Texas. Should be a good effort. I think, again, they survived last week. Now they can clean up some things for week 2. Would be shocking if they're not 2-0.
And this next one's interesting because just based on trends, I'm thinking back last year, Texas Tech had the opening disappointing loss against Wyoming. And then they bounced back and played a really good game against Oregon, who was a one win against Washington away from the college football playoff. So I think they're going to come back and play pretty well. Washington State's pretty decimated. So give me Texas Tech, and who are the other two? Ooh, give me a 6 for the Red Raiders.
Once again, Brandon Shanahan and I on the exact same page. Texas Tech as well. Give me a 6. Do not let me down, boys. Show up this week. Don't pull what you did last week. That's all I'm asking.
Then let me see here. So let's see. I'm looking at your column.
I've got 7. 7. Take off 7. Take off
Gotcha,
7.
okay.
I got 4.
You're already ahead of me. That's some
Yep.
some great continuity here on the program.
We just read each other's minds, Simple as that, Brandon Shanahan. That's what we do on Go Big 12 or Go Home.
And it's funny because the numbers that we have left are also pretty similar. A 9 and a 10 and a 5 and a 4. Arizona and Northern Arizona, possibly a state championship game. Where are you leaning here?
Well, it's state championship game that should be dominated by the team in Tucson. I've got Arizona. Give me a 10.
Arizona, give me 10. I'm also going to go Arizona. Big number here. And this has, boy, I just don't see it. There's a realm where you can kind of talk me into their win last week not being so impressive. It was 61-39. Those numbers are probably closer than you would expect, just mathematically, because like 61 is a low 60 number, and then 39 is a high 30s. So mathematics. But I think Arizona takes care of business. And then I'm also going Arizona State here. I was almost tempted to take this with my 9-point game, but they in the same realm that gives me hesitation about Arizona, just maybe a little bit of a letdown opens up that opportunity. But I mean, if they play like they played last week, then it's going to be a fun game for the Big 12, and I'll absolutely be pushing some agendas.
Oh, I know you will be, Brandon. That's just a guaranteed from the Branishton Shanahan content machine. You got to push your agendas. You've got to make things work. I've got Arizona State too. I just loved how they played last week. They're at home. I think Mississippi State, a quality team, but one that's I don't think they're as good as they have been in years past. Why not?
No.
Well, I'm going to ride vibes. I'm going to say they find a way in Tempe.
Yeah, I like Jeff Lebby. I like where they're going, but I don't think they're quite there yet. Arizona State's a 5-point favorite, so I feel pretty good about them. I think we got another winner. I mean, I don't think we both go 12-1. I don't think that's possible, but either way, I mean, a good week, lots of good games. I mean, usually at this point in the season, we're getting a lot of slop. And in the SEC, we're getting a lot of slop, by the way. I also 1-4 against ranked teams, 2-3 against power teams. Shout out Vanderbilt for, keeping them above water. But not in the Big 12. We're getting some good ones. Iowa State, non-conference game with Baylor, Utah, Colorado-Nebraska, Houston, Oklahoma. I mean, they have, the thought was there.
Yep.
It's the thought that counts. But
Kansas, Illinois is interesting. Texas Tech,
That's
Washington State is fascinating. And Mississippi State, Arizona State is kind of a late night game. I think is kind of a fun one too. So you're right, Brandon. This is a great week 2 slate. Once again, we're both kind of on similar lines. Well, eventually I think we'll start pairing off eventually come later on in the season. But big chance for Big 12 this week to really make some statement wins. I think the big ones I'm looking at, Oklahoma State's got to find a way to take care of business if you're from a Big 12 standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I might be a little more biased and might be pulling for the Hogs, admittingly, but that's huge. I think Iowa State's got to find a way to get over Iowa. I think that's major for the conference. And then just see what other teams can do. Can Arizona State find a way at home to get it done against Mississippi State? They're a favorite. That'd be a nice victory for them. We'll see how Colorado does against Nebraska. I know you're going to be for Nebraska. I fully understand it. We both picked Nebraska, but if Colorado gets a victory on the road, that could really springboard them into something interesting this season. Same with Kansas. We'll see. So big week, Brandon. It's a lot of fun.
If Colorado wins, I will be crying and throwing up.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, if Colorado wins, folks, it's probably just going to be me on the podcast next week. I don't know if we're going to find Brandon for a couple days.
I mean, that would be so. Oh my god, I can't even think about it.
Yeah, no,
but what I was thinking about is, what if this is the season that Iowa State and Nebraska both beat Iowa?
Oh, that'd be just. You know what, Brandon? We'll. I don't even know what we'd come up with on this podcast, but we'd come up with something. You can count on that.
Count on that.
Yeah.
And also, so in that realm, so Iowa State picks up a good win against Iowa. Nebraska's good enough to beat Iowa. I mean, maybe this is the year that Nebraska and Iowa State make the playoff and Iowa doesn't. Is that not the best case scenario?
I'll tell you what, Brandon. If Iowa State and Nebraska for some reason met in a college football playoff game, I would love that a rivalry that never existed because Nebraska just owned us would actually come back for 1 week.
At the program's peak of the 21st century. Just stars aligning, pointing and laughing at Iowa for playing in the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, I would live for it. I would live if Iowa State and Nebraska made the college football playoff. Iowa fans would be in shatters. They'd be in tears.
Oh man, and like it's not. It's the fact that like that excites me so much. Not just as a Nebraska fan for making the college football playoff, having a successful season, but just the agony it would cause those folks over in the eastern half of the state.
It'd be tough, but hey, we always say it's a Cyclone State. We'll see if that's the case on Saturday. We both need our teams to win, Brandon.
We need it.
We just need it. If we don't, we're both going to be. I'll be in a pretty bad mood next week if Iowa State doesn't find a way to get it done.
Oh, me too. But that's all that I had for you, Drew Russell. Outstanding week of college football. Outstanding stuff here on the program. Any final thoughts?
Fall is here, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great time. Labor Day, we're through. Fall is one of the great times of the year, and we have football all the way through February. Enjoy. We've waited this long. Now we get to relax with college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays. Get your wings, get your drinks, have a good time. This is the USA, baby. We love it.